but like I've not really experienced anything fucked up. Now the monsters that I have experienced in life are real people, and I've experienced real monsters in life, and I believe 100% that I lived above a retired serial killer. Like my very first apartment, I believe that
That's commendable.
And how long have we been on this bit? Do we know how long?
We're on for 54, 43.
All right. So how long have we been on this personal bit? We've been on it 5 minutes. I don't want to take up too much time.
Yeah, wrap up this retired
Hurry
serial
the
killer
fuck
story.
up.
I need to know about this.
All right. So
Because
you
I'm
guys
saying
want to
that's
hear it?
crazy to retire. That's a real.
Give us your clues
how do you
and what
think he's
led you to
retired?
Do you
believe
think he had
such
a
a
goal?
thing.
Do you think he like
Do you wanna do another shot?
Like he hit 100?
Do you want to do another shot? All right. Do you burn weed?
Yeah.
You don't burn weed? So let's
Like, what do
settle
you
in
think
for
it
a
was?
minute.
Do you think he had like a?
Oh
a
no,
list?
I'll tell you. So are you guys ready for a story? Because I've never told this story before.
Oh my
Yes.
god.
I'm rolling up my sleeves for it. I'm getting
A
ready
serial
for it.
killer
He's
with a
the
quota.
retired serial
Are you
killer.
ready for
That's
this?
what
Yeah.
it is.
Me?
No,
Why does it? Oh.
No, I'm saying that. Do you think he had like a quota and he was like, "I'm done"?
No,
I'm
I
out.
think this dude is.
He already had too many olive men. He said, if I kill one more olive man, God's really going to get me.
There aren't too many olive dudes out there, man. Like, like most people don't know. Like, I got away from, like, most people thought I was white for, like, my first 30 years. I never got into the sun or anything like that, so no one really saw what my complexion was. But, like, I had, like, a white privilege card for, like, the first 30 years of my life. And believe me, white privilege is great. To white privilege.
Yay!
Yay!
What are you like Armenian? Like?
No, I'm
like a
Italian. I'm
Balkan?
Sicilian.
Okay.
I'm Sicilian.
All right, Balkan.
But I mean, like if you can see if I got into the sun, like I'm you can tell I'm a different human being.
Yeah.
All right, so serial killer.
Okay, yeah.
Shots are in.
My first apartment. So I was I don't know if I told anyone this, but I was homeless for a couple years when I was in my band. Essentially, when my band broke up. When you're in a band, you get this privilege of being able to ride people's couches because you're in the band and they love your music, and you can kind of get away with being a schlub because you're creating this music and they understand that you're not making any money and blah blah blah. So I was homeless for a while. When the band broke up and the invitations for couches dried up, which they do, and you're just a dude who's just a white piece of trash who used to play music, and now you gotta get your shit together. Now you're officially homeless. Now you realize that you're fucked, right? So my first apartment was a Section 8 apartment off of Nolensville Road, off of Edmondson. And it took a while to get. You had to get on a waiting list to get on this, and I wound up getting out pretty quickly because I looked white. I could imagine because a lot of people were complaining about being on that list for like 2 years, and it was like 2 weeks. I was on there. So I got my first apartment, and it was me, and I moved in a best friend of mine. Damn. And then another best friend. So it was me and two of my best friends from high school. Rent was super, but all right, so if you've never lived in a Section 8 apartment before, they're very hollow.
Thank you for not assuming. I appreciate it.
Sure. You can hear anything. The walls are very thin. The ceilings are very thin. The walls are very thin. If someone in the complex farts, you knew who farted. Right? So when I and my friend moved in, we were probably in the apartment for about an hour. We had moved to like a couch in, my bed in, his bed in, a few different things. And then all of a sudden we hear on the door. So I open the door and then I look down and there's this very short female and she's very excited and she's warning us, warning me in particular about the guy who lives downstairs, the old man that lives downstairs. She's like, I gotta tell you about the old man that lives downstairs.
Okay.
She was the former resident of this apartment. Right?
Real quick,
So-
are you sure she wasn't a ghost?
I'm right. Okay.
Okay.
In this
He's been seeing
situation,
ghosts the whole time. He just didn't know it.
in this situation, you could definitely like M. Night Shyamalan it, right? So she tells me how of these experiences she had with this dude and blah blah blah, and I've not even met this guy yet. Never even been introduced to this guy. I've only been in this apartment for an hour, and she's already like. There's no telling when I could have moved in. Was she stalking me? Did she just happen to go by? Did she? Oh, it's the first of the month. There's probably the new resident there. Who knows? But anyway, literally, an hour in, she's telling me all this story, and then she leaves. Like she won't come into the apartment. Refuses to come into the apartment. She leaves. Me and my buddy, we laugh it off. We smoke a joint. Blah blah blah. About a week later, in the middle of the night, I get up to piss in the middle of the night. Even back then, in my fucking early 20s, I was 21, 22, something like that. I get up to piss 2 or 3 times a night. So I got up in the middle of the night, and then in the middle of the night, under my feet, he's hitting, the neighbor downstairs is hitting the ceiling with, I guess, a broom handle or something. But under my feet, I hear... Like, I'm bothering him. But it's just like as soon as I got up out of my bed and hit the floor, it took 3 steps. Like, he was waiting for me to get up in the middle of the night, which is weird. So, I get up, I piss, I go back to bed as quietly as I can and everything. This winds up going on for about a week before finally I get up, and I'm not thinking about it. You're half asleep. I'm going to go piss, and I'm feeling his broomstick underneath me, and then I'm just like, boom, 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 boom. Fuck you, you old motherfucker. I don't even know what he looks like. I've only been told what he's like. Yeah. But again, I'm like, fuck you, you old motherfucker. And I know that everybody in this apartment complex could hear me because, and I'm, waking up and realizing what I just did. I'm realizing the situation that's going on. I piss. I go back to sleep, blah, blah, blah. So I decide that I'm going to get carpet to put in for the apartment. So me and my bud, we fucking carpeted the whole fucking place. So nice. We put padding down, we put carpet down, we fucking did the whole fucking 9 yards and everything. But still, I would wind up fucking hearing this motherfucker. He would still wait for me to get up, and I couldn't. I was like, what the fuck, man? Why is he still fucking, I really thought at this point he was fucking with me. Like, he was waiting in the middle, like he didn't sleep. Like, he was just waiting for me to get up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
It was just...
It's time your pisses out.
I couldn't figure out what it was. Like, I'm going processing. I can't figure it out. So, finally, I wound up getting one of those urinals. You can go to Walmart and buy. I went to Kmart and bought a urinal. And just kept that.
Wow,
I just kept that at the side of my fucking bed.
Those?
You could buy a fucking plastic fucking urinal.
I think he's talking about a bottle. He's pissing in the bottle.
You're pissing in a bottle,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway... But I mean, it's a specific.
I didn't know it was this thing.
Look, man.
Bedpan.
Fucking shit. Yeah, bedpan. You can go to 1940s bedpan. Sure.
Bedpan.
So anyway, I'm pissing in a bottle, right? And then, there's a point where I'm in my living room and I'm listening to a new album that had just come out. I just went and bought Lollapalooza tickets. 93. Lollapalooza 93.
Oh, shit.
Primus, Alice in Chains, Arrested Development, great fucking show. And I bought some CD that had just come out. I can't remember what it was. And I got home and I'm listening to it, and again I'm hearing him, and I was like, "Look, you motherfucker!" I mean, I was just like, I'm screaming. I'm sitting there like I'm a grown man screaming to another grown man through a fucking floor, right? So then I hear a knocking at the door, and it's him, and he's tall. Like, when I open up the door to the female, she's little, and I'm looking down at her. Like, when I open up the door, and it's like Lurch, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, oh my fucking God. Like, this dude in his prime was a monster. This dude in his prime, this dude at 20 years old, 30 years old, would be the scariest motherfucker you had ever seen in your life. But this dude at 70 maybe, 60s, late 60s, was still intimidating. Like, when I opened the door, I was like, hey, I knew exactly who he was. I didn't have to, ask who he was. Looking, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
And so, just the scariest dude. And so, but he's there with a plate of food.
Oh, fuck that. I ain't eating that shit.
Oh, no. Yeah, tall people already look like wizards. I'm not eating the food from that guy.
Yeah,
Gray hair, he's tall, he's semi-slender.
So what'd you do?
I took the food. He's talking to me. He's like, hey, we got off on the wrong start. We're neighbors, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, I don't even know who the fuck you are. I don't know what's going on, but you want to be cool. Let's be cool. So he gives me this food. Now, let me tell you something about this plate of food.
You ate it.
As a kid, who hasn't had a home-cooked meal in a while, and as a kid who was broke as fuck, and as a kid who was fucking giving a...
He knew what he was doing.
Oh, my fucking God, dude. So, like, I sat that food down in the kitchen and everything after having a conversation with him and, like, smoked a joint. And do you know that I ate every goddamn bit of food that was on there?
You didn't even think?
I slept so well. So we actually started to get along there for a while, and like he would like knock on the door and bring the food, and never come in the apartment.
Well, he's a vampire.
But he would bring the food. He would bring the food and everything. We would talk in the hallway and everything, and then like I'd smoke a joint and then eat and then go right to bed. And like a couple of weeks now. Into this.
Like he's coming over every day and handing you food.
I'm talking to my roommate at this point, and he's talking to me about it. Like, what is wrong with you? Right? Like if Sloan was my roommate, pretty much. This is my roommate.
What is wrong with you, dude?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sweating thinking about this. It's about to get fucked up.
Oh God.
So
This is an episode of
I'm
Story.
I'm thinking about it and everything, and I'm like, man, I think you're right. I think he's poisoning me. I think he's like putting something in the food because I don't get up to piss in the middle of the night anymore. Like I don't get up at all.
God.
Like I smoke a joint and I'm watching TV and I eat the dinner that he's made. I pass the fuck out.
Do you remember what kind of food this was? I'm just
anything.
curious.
Fried chicken, fucking Salisbury steak, but with sides, like a meal. Not like he's coming up giving me like a couple of slices of pizza that he fucking ordered. Like he's a guy who seemed to have like had a wife or something and made like food for two, and usually if you're like going out and buying food, you're usually making enough food for two anyway. So I'm like, I'm not putting two and two together, right?
I can. All right. Okay.
Lonely old man.
But then exactly.
Okay.
But then as I'm talking to my roommate, and about it, and he was like, "Dude, you're actually eating what he's giving you?" And it's like, "Well, yeah." And I'm trying to rationalize it and everything, but then I'm like, well, wait a minute. I'm sleeping through the night. It's like, oh, fuck, man. He is poisoning me. He's putting, or not poisoning me, but drugging me. Like he's putting something in my food to the point where, like, I'm not disturbing him or anybody else in this apartment complex at all. Like, I'm eating, and then at 8 o'clock, I'm done.
He's just your physician at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
So after this conversation,
your pharmacist.
After I had this conversation with him, he comes to the door and he's knock, 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 and he's got the food, and I was like, "Nah, man, I'm good." And instantly,
wait, you didn't think to just keep accepting it and then not eat it?
what I should have done.
Just throw it away.
No. Even better than that, what I should have done, and like I didn't think about it because like I'm stupid, but what I should have done is accepted it and then had that food tested.
Oh yeah, but
That's what I should
that
have done.
costs money though.
No.
Yeah,
Not if you
but
go
that
to the
would've-
police and
right.
say, "Hey, man, the last 2 weeks." Exactly right
Honestly,
there.
I don't
Can
even
you
know if I would have
imagine?
thought of that. I would have thrown
Right,
it
I
away,
would
yeah.
exactly. But I refused it just because I was just like, no, fuck you, man.
No, I get
right?
it, yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
as soon as I refused, I wasn't even like rude or anything. I didn't have a chance to be rude. As soon as I was like, nah, man, and I was like,
Did you
trying to
see
be
his
cool.
second eyelids? Like,
No.
flicker?
It didn't even the demon didn't even flicker. The demon came out. He got mad, started screaming at me, spit and foam was frothing at the fucking mouth and everything. I'm sorry if I'm really taking up so much time in this segment.
We gotta hear this. This is gotta be said.
All right. So, anyway, I get a second roommate in, a friend that, again, like I said, like the first guy was there, the second guy come in. And that day that the second guy had wound up moving in, at a thrift store, I found a drum kit for $60. Now, if you found I went into a thrift store.
That's cheap, yeah.
And like this was 1993, so to find a full 5-piece Slingerland drum kit for $60.
Yeah,
so I
crazy.
walked in there and I was like, "Oh my God, man! I will buy this right now." It had a sign on it for sale, and they were like, "Well, dude didn't come up. He never paid for it. It's not actually sold. If you buy it right now, it's yours." I walked. I didn't even have a ride, so I bought it. Went back to work, begged for a ride, went back home, and had this fucking thing set up. Right, my friend moved in. So I told my friend about the guy downstairs. Don't piss him off and everything. I got this drum kit set up. Please don't play the fucking drum kit. I get home from work the next day, and that new roommate is gone. All his stuff is gone. And then I hear something at my front door. I go to my front door, and there's an eviction notice on my front door. like, what the fuck? And I go on there, and the eviction notice because I'm playing drums in the apartment. I've not even played the drum.
Did you play my drum set?
The new drum.
My nutsack.
The new fucking roommate was playing the drums, and then wound up getting me evicted. Well, the old guy downstairs. So I went to the apartment complex. And I was like, dude, I just got this drum kit. I never played it. If someone played it, wasn't my fault, and it will never happen again. And I was like, well, who, And they were like, well, it was the old guy downstairs. So I went to the old guy downstairs, knocked on his door. He opened it up, and just the smell of his apartment when it opened up was just.
You're eating food for that.
It was. Yeah. There was this rancidity. It's like dumpster juice.
Oh, God.
Almost. Like it was just...
Sewer water.
It was very close, like brackish water.
Sploosh.
So I opened it up, and there's like this smell of brackish water. And I was like, hey, man, we've got off on the wrong foot. I don't want to get another eviction notice. We've got to...
Plate of food.
Yeah. So he invites me in. So I go in and we have a conversation. We talk and everything.
You just wanted to get murdered at this point, didn't you?
For the story. For the story.
So we're talking in his living room, and I'm looking in his living room, and there's no furniture per se. You can see where there were couches, but there was junk piled up on like a couch, and like there's a love seat over here that's junk piled up on. There's, but every pile looks like an individual pile, and every pile looks like an individual's pile. Like every pile looked like it belonged to a particular person.
Wow.
There wasn't, and he was showing me these. So he's like, "Oh, you're into music and everything," because I was a musician. I was like, "Yeah," and so he's showing me all these photo albums from all these musicians that played the Grand Ole Opry. He's showing me this guitar that played the Grand Ole Opry. He's showing me all these things. And I was like, oh, well, how long have you been playing guitar? Oh, I don't play guitar. Oh, well, where are you in these pictures of these people in the Grand Ole? I'm not in them. He's showing me all this stuff that really didn't have anything to do with him, but was culturally important. Like, he's showing me some like things that should be in museums but are in his apartment, right? And so, like, but none of it really belonged to him. And, like, he's offering me something to drink. I was like, yeah, I'll take a Coke. And so he's bringing me in a Coke. But as he's going into his kitchen, which is the same setup as my apartment, and as he's left the room, and I'm looking around, and literally, I'm like, wait a minute. Like, if none of this stuff is his, if he's not into any of this stuff, and everything looked like it was just like if he went in and took all my personal shit out of my apartment.
Is there a pile of shoes in the corner?
And then just stuck all my shit and just piled it up. And then you looked and where like everybody else's shit would be. All of a sudden I started getting really freaked the fuck out. Like, I mean, really. So he came in.
This would be a great scene in a horror movie, like no joke.
Dude. So we go probably another hour talking and the point where it's like I'm so unnerved at this point. All I want to do is leave this apartment. Like the smell of the apartment is really overcoming. I walked 5 feet into the apartment and didn't leave where I was standing. And in the vicinity of where I was standing, I was really getting freaked out because the piles of stuff became piles of people and their personalities, and like it was just the more I was in there, the more I realized that this dude was collecting shit that was not his. Everything that he showed me wasn't his. Everything he showed me was the most awesome, coolest shit, but was not his.
That's creepy as fuck.
Well, who do you say it was?
So I leave the apartment complex and I go back upstairs. So the following day, I have a birthday party, and we invite some people over, and my brother shows up, and I decide to go to the liquor store to buy a couple of bottles of liquor. Not many people there. There's probably about 10, 15 people there.
Enough to piss off the old guy downstairs.
Once my brother gets there, I leave to go. I figure my brother's there. He can hold shit down. I'll get some liquor. I come back. Everybody is gone. My brother is... First of all, I pull up. My brother is running out of the apartment, and he's handing me just... he has this like a kilo of weed, and he just scoops this fucking chunk of weed out, and he just hands it to me. He's like, "Happy birthday! I've got to go. Something come up. I'm sorry, but I got to go." So I'm standing outside my apartment complex with this big haystack of weed in my. I'm like, "What the fuck?" I had no clue what I'm about to walk into, right? So then I walk into my fucking apartment complex with all this fucking weed, and it's empty. All the people that were there were gone except for my roommate and his girlfriend. And he looked at me and he was like, I'm like, what the fuck happened? He's like, you need to hide that weed. The cops are probably going to be coming here anytime soon. And I was like, what the fuck happened? Right? So I hide the fucking weed, right? And I was like, all right, so what happened? It's like, so your brother brought a gun into the apartment complex. And I was like, what did he do with the gun? He was like, well, he's showing everybody. And he was showing my roommate and a couple other friends back in my bedroom. So they were showing it at the floor. And it went off, went through the floor, and from what I understand of the floor plan was directly underneath where
I've never seen a more perfect case for probable cause in my life.
So I asked, did anybody go downstairs to make sure that anybody was okay? And they're like, no. I was like, well, have you heard from the old man downstairs? They're like, no. So he's probably dead right now, right? And they're like, probably. I'm like, what? So I'm there with probably a quarter pound of weed that's loose. That's not even like in a container or anything. Like everybody has split. So then I go down there and very meekly knock on the old man's door. This old woman shows up. She's like 90, who is his mother.
Ghost. Confirmed ghost.
Okay.
She was like, you know, she's just looking at me and she's not saying anything. She's just frazzled.
Again,
like,
confirmed
I
ghost.
can't remember what dude's name was, but I was like, is dude home? And he comes to the door and he's very frazzled. Like the look he's giving to me and everything, but handling it very well. And I was like, hey, man. My brother, I have a. I was like, I'm having a birthday.
We started off on the wrong foot again.
Yeah. I was like, I'm having a birthday party up there. It's my birthday. My brother came over. He brought fireworks. Right? There's a hole through the fucking floor. I'm clearly not thinking straight at this time. I mean, you can clearly see a hole. Right? I can only imagine if you're in his bedroom, you can see into my bedroom. Right?
Bro, that's not the first bullet hole in this Section 8 house.
Right? Exactly. Sure. Oh, believe me, I got other stories from this. This is
all right,
crazy.
sorry.
But anyway, I'm talking with him, trying to smooth it over, and his mother looks like she's about to die. I mean, she looks like she's about like
from old age,
whatever.
Because she already has, because she's a ghost.
Right, sure. So I think that I smooth all of that over, and so I go back upstairs and everything, and me and my roommate, we light. Now everything's pitiful. We light the little candles on my ice cream cake. We smoke a joint, and then we just go to bed. Like, the night is over with, you know. We're high at least, you know. Next day, I got an eviction notice, right? So I come home. I get the eviction notice off of my fucking door. I'm like, God damn it, not again. And I read it and everything, of course. So I go back to the fucking apartment complex, and I try to smooth things over with them. And, of course, I smooth things over. I came back. Open the apartment complex door, and my buddy is gone. Like my high school roommate is gone.
He's in a pile.
And so there's just a note. All his shit's gone. Hey, I met this girl, and this is believe me, if you knew this dude, this is not the dude that just meets the girl and then just takes the fuck off. Hey, meeting the girl would be like the most difficult part in this man's life, much less leaving overnight for this girl. And again, he has real fucked up handwriting. Like he's left-handed, should have been a right-handed maybe, but like if you look at his handwriting, you definitely think that there was some kind of neuropathy going on. And then this handwriting was not so crazy. It was a little bit more contained.
So you don't think it was actually his hand? I met this
girl. The girl supposedly that he met was this girl who was actually going out with another dude, and they had a cocaine addiction together. Like, it really didn't seem like they would be taking off. But anyway, so then, like, it's just... This is where things go. I really need to get to another guest. I mean,
No, we have to finish the story and I'll leave. I need the end of the story.
Half caucus now, man.
I go to the record store and buy another ticket to a concert where I met this chick, and I'm going to call her Rape Chick, just because of the fact
Really?
that I don't know anything else. I'm telling you, it's getting worse.
All
So
right.
like this dude is back to like hitting the fucking ceiling every time I'm getting out. Even though I have like we're all back to this whole thing where it's all started back over again. Where it's like I come home from work and I'm still being tormented by this guy, and then it gets worse. He doesn't let up. But then I meet this girl, and we kind of like. We get together for the first couple of nights, and the first couple of nights, things get hot and heavy, and she's like, "No, I respect that and fine." But then I think about a
Wait, you
week
said
and-
no?
She says no. Like we get hot and heavy, and we get to the
He
point
didn't
where
say
like,
no.
yeah. But she says, and I respect that. But
Rape
then-
chick.
Rape chick.
Okay.
Right? But what I realized, like about a week and a half, I'm talking to a buddy, and I'm telling her, it's like, I met this girl. She's fucking great. Everything's hot and heavy, but man, and this is where you don't listen to your buddies, but I mean, he did make sense, but I mean, you'd never listen to this advice like this. But he was like, no, she's wanting you to take it. She's wanting you. And I'm like, no, blah, blah, blah. But then, like,
Okay.
when I'm with her,
All right.
so, like, I decided, I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm going to call her bluff this time. I'm not going to, like, do anything horrible. But, like,
I understand.
Again, she says, no, we're not doing no, right?
Mm.
Everything was great. Everything was fine. Great night of fucking sex and fucking and just everything was great. Felt very wrong and everything, but like everything was great.
Consensual.
It was consensual, non-consensual. Correct, right? Can I have some chocolate? Because like I'm getting so.
It's a real term. That's a real term. I didn't make it up.
Like, and again, it's like one of those things. Like that could go real wrong. Like either. Like,
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're leaving their options open if they want to call the cops for that.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Bro,
Anyway,
I'm telling my buddy about this. He's telling me I should go for it. I go for it. And then at that point, the old man stops. Because she's only into it hard and rough and consensual and non-consensual. So every time is no. Every time is me having to take it. And every time is creating this rape fantasy in order for her to get off. Thank you. In order for her to get off.
What's up, buddy? How are
In
you?
order for me to get off, because I want to make sure that she gets off.
I just want to be safe right now.
Yeah, I know. We need help.
During this whole entire time, I don't hear anything from the old man downstairs, right?
Me too.
So then, I got worried about what I was doing because, like, in my normal day life, like, I would be at work and I would see some girl and then have that thought and fantasy of just taking her and stuff like that. And that's when, right? This is why I don't tell these stories.
You're fine. You're fine. We're amongst friends.
So
Are we done with the old man yet, or what?
No, dude, we're not.
I break up with her, right? And then the moment that I break up with her, I started hearing the old man again. Now he's back in my fucking business. So I'm going back down to the old man's house and everything. I'm trying to have a conversation with him because I don't want to leave the apartment. I can't afford to leave the apartment. So I go into the old man's house. And then I noticed there was a pile of shit that I recognized that was from one of my roommates. Then I noticed another pile of shit that I recognized from one of my roommates.
Wow.
And as I'm sitting there, like, there's no cell phones. There's not like I can click a picture or whatever like that. All of a sudden, everything started getting really, really real with the poisoning, with his torment of me and everything and shit. The fact that his mother is still alive, they have this weird kind of fucking DNA fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing going and shit,
Yeah.
Like, I realized that the fact that I'm still alive is very, very fucking crazy. And that was the moment I decided that I was moving the fuck out because I did not want to be another pile in this man's apartment.
Have you not ever heard from your two roommates?
Holy.
No, those two guys I've never heard from again.
Jesus Christ,
Wait.
they're dead, man!
Dude, you need to write this
Dude,
as a
holy
script.
You got
That
How do
Bro,
you
I'm
live
telling
with
you that
yourself?
that's a fucking script. That's a movie script. That's crazy.
I moved the fuck out. Never thought about it again. But I do get traumatized when someone, like if I'm living somewhere and I hear someone like just banging on my door like a cop,
Oh
I'll
my
get that trauma.
god.
They'll come back like an echo of that old man. And like I can only imagine of him in his prime, where he was like in his 30s and he was a serial killer. It's
You
like,
know that there's stuff.
Yeah,
like,
in
if
your
he walked
mind.
in
like
here in
killing
his
musicians
30s.
that were like drunk and like on drugs.
But that's the thing. It's like those piles were so different and so individualistic that like one was a musician, one was maybe a drifter, one was like some female that wanted to be an actress or something, or was on vacation. You know, like every pile of junk was different from every other pile of junk. Like no pile of junk had a reason to be there. Like every one seemed to represent a person. Well, happy
all right,
Halloween.
thank you so
Happy
much.
Halloween, dude.
Ralphie,
Next-
thank you for coming out.
Thank
Do you want to do
you.
one more shot with me? Do you want to do one more shot?
Would
that-
you
all
like
right, yeah.
more candy as well?
Yeah, let me take a look.
Hey man,
that was
that chocolate with whiskey is great. I think everybody should have chocolate
Yeah,
with whiskey.
chocolate
That was like
payday.
that changes
the
everything.
chocolate covered.
Oh wait a
payday.
minute. Here, Nick, I'm a little lit. Can you or Ralphie? I don't really don't want you to pour your own.
Dude,
shot.
I'm serious. Like, have you ever wrote a script before?
So I actually did write that, but I wrote it as I was into comic books, so I wrote it as a comic.
So it
book.
never happened.
No, it did happen. No, it's real.
Those two guys, you
'Cause-
never heard from your two roommates ever again.
Never again.
Never.
That
That dude killed him.
Bro, I don't
Maybe.
even care if that's
Maybe.
real. That's a fucking awesome story.
Thank you. But
I believe you 100%, but that's either way.
Did you not
that's
care
a
about them
crazy
enough
story.
to try to find out if they were still alive?
well, that's the thing. You got to think that this was This is 1993.
That's true. People just kind of come and go.
You could meet somebody at a concert, spend an entire day with them, get split up with
Yeah.
them, and never see them again.
Right, yeah.
This was 93 before the internet. Like, there was no way that anyone really kept information. Like, you could call a pizza place and say that you ordered a pizza 30 minutes ago and you paid for it, and
Yeah.
they would never know. They would just send you a free pizza. Like, this was the day before anything was really like held down to any type of like data service, so you couldn't really do anything. And if I can only imagine if I went into a police station, it was like, hey man, and told them that story, what they would say. I pretty much think that I was.
Well, wait, hold on, because like, so when I said probable cause back then, so when they shot into his apartment,
nothing was said.
So did
That's what makes me believe that he is a serial killer. Because my brother, now I didn't go into his bedroom and look up to see the hole, but in my bedroom, I can see where it shot through my flooring, through the subfloor, and because I couldn't see into his apartment because obviously insulation and whatever else,
Yeah.
but it was a 38 snub nose that he shot directly into the floor. And you could, sound waves go through the floor perfectly. So I can only imagine a bullet.
But what I'm saying is, did the police not go into his apartment and
Never
see?
called the police. Never called the police.
That's creepy.
Oh, because it was Section
Nothing
8.
ever happened.
Because it was
Never,
Section 8.
ever,
Oh,
ever.
all right.
No
all right,
one
all right,
ever
okay.
reported
All right,
it.
well, I want to talk to you about like rewriting that script because I'm interested in writing scripts and I've done a few stuff.
I
down
would
there.
love for you to
But
write
that's
that.
an awesome story, and
Sure.
I would love to collab on that.